60,000 words and I decided to plot my entire story. And by the end of plotting, I decided to throw the novel away. I mean, most of it. Yeah, shocking, right? Sit back, grab a cup of coffee you need because we are going to get into it, and I'm going to tell you what happened, what broke, and what are the stuff that I'm really nervous about at this stage in the process. So first things first, realization that I had after I started plotting my novel was the story that I was writing in my earlier draft was not the story that I wanted to tell. Because once the plotting started, it took a completely different direction. So the original plan was to pants the entire story and discovery write the entire novel, because I have been a pantser before and I have never plotted, and things were really working great with discovery writing because I have written 60,000 words by the end of it, right? So it did seem to work. But then when I started plotting, there are a lot of questions started coming up, and that is when it made a drastic difference to the entire plot. I also realized that if I kept going in the direction that I am currently following by discovery writing, then I would end up with a manuscript that I'm not really proud of. So that is one thing that I really wanted to avoid. So I went back and changed the opening image, the setup, and lots of things in the plot, and surprisingly my catalyst remained the same. I didn't want to change it because I felt like that was one thing I did correctly in the novel. So by the way, if you guys are not aware of the terms that I'm talking about, I'm actually following the Save the Cat novel beat sheet quite a bit. That I'm not following it entirely, but I'm trying to outline most of my story with the Save the Cat novel. And so first it was a bit difficult to fit my story into the beat sheet because I have already written 1/4 of the novel, and now it looked like a mix between reverse outlining and plotting from the start. Anyway, I did go forward and I was able to fit in a lot of the pieces into the beat sheet, and I'm also glad that I did that because it did open up a lot of questions for me, which has made my plot very strong now. Now back to the story. Yeah, I told you I have changed the opening and setup, and my catalyst remained the same, but the real problem was at the midpoint. Honestly, I was baffled by what my midpoint was going to be because I had literally no idea. I was trying to imagine a lot of options for my midpoint, but nothing seemed right. The midpoint that I had in my mind has actually become a break into act 2, so now I have to come up with an entirely new midpoint because I can't use it anymore. I don't regret it because that would be a good break into act 2 to have the scene that I had in my mind, but now I'm missing a midpoint, and you know what, it just doesn't stop there. Do you guys remember me telling that I'm nervous about something in the start of the video? Yeah, we have forgotten our lover boy. I mean, the main romantic interest, I have completely forgotten about him until the midpoint. Yeah, there were scenes relating to him, but I didn't incorporate a lot of his significance into the story because we were following the main character and a few of the other characters who always had some kind of link to the main character, and we were following the story or the plot, and romance has really become a subplot at this point, and it has taken a backseat. I don't know how I feel about it. It does make sense, but I also wanted to have this romantic interest show up in different places in the first half of the book as well. So I went back and I started adding some scenes for the main romantic interest, and guess what, it looked like I jotted down all the unrealistic expectations that you could have for a romantic interest and then printed them out on an A3 sheet of paper. His character looked so flat, and I felt like, oh my god, what am I even doing with this love interest at this point, because it did not seem natural. I mean, what can I say? Their interactions seemed like they had to talk because they are both love interests, and there was no reasoning behind why certain things were happening between them, why they are constantly meeting each other, or yeah, the main character had a bit of a motive, but when it comes to the romantic interest, there isn't much, and I felt like we were underplaying the romantic interest motivations lot, and that did not sit well with me. So I'm still figuring out how to incorporate his arc into the story a bit better. And then once I realized that, and once my midpoint was also shaky, I just completely closed my laptop and then just went back to either reading or just took a step away from the plot for a couple of days. And then suddenly one day, when I was doing some mundane task, I got an idea for the midpoint and I was so happy. It's still a bit shaky, I'll tell you. It's not 100% there yet, but I'm happy to have this midpoint. And I felt a bit of rush when I thought about that midpoint, and I felt like it might work for now, but once we start building, I might add more to it. I also have the ending. So when I started thinking along the lines of what I should do a bit different with the main character, what I should do a bit different with the main character's love interest, and I started getting some ideas, and I feel like I have the ending down. And if this ending is going to be what I think would be the ending for this book, then we would have a series. Yeah, this would be end of book 1, and we would definitely have at least another book. It will be a duology or it might lead on to a series, but yeah, the ending sounds promising for right now. The other difficulty that I had was I couldn't figure out from 75% to the ending, that portion of the novel. It's still a bit gray for me, and I'm working on it. I also feel like I have to leave my room at some point and then maybe find a different place to write. On the other note, finding different places to write, I was telling you guys about my travel plans, right? So I will be moving soon, I guess. Fingers crossed. If I'm moving, I might be traveling the next week. So when you guys see me for another vlog, you might be seeing me from a different place, a different country. So yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I'm really excited for my travel plans. And right now I'm really excited about how much I have got done with this plot, because I was really very skeptical going into the plotting process, and once I started doing the plotting process, it still was intimidating when I started getting all those questions. But you know what, only when you are able to question yourself and challenge yourself, challenge your plot, you will able to come up with something really wonderful. I believe it's always important to challenge your own work, and which would help me grow as a writer, I believe, because at the end of the day, I'm an amateur writer, and I really want to, if there is one thing that I want to learn by the end of this whole writing process, it is to write better, to improve myself as a writer and share a better story. Because by the end of the day, I'm just another girl who is here to tell you a story. So thank you for listening until the end of the video, and let's get back in another couple of weeks, I guess, and hopefully by then I have completed my plot, and I would have more interesting things to share with you. So thank you for listening. Bye bye.